Hello all, this is Nick the Paladin. I have been asked to make a video mainly just for my alliance, just to understand how to make a healer build for the Pally. Mod 17 has definitely made it more complicated for paladins to heal, and mainly just healers in general. So this is mainly just going to be a PowerPoint and a video just to try to show you where some more necessary things to be striving for and your stat wise and in gear and potential items that can help you along the way to become a better healer. So pretty much the stats that is really good to focus on would be mainly power. Power helps you increase your heals. It just means the better heal you can get. Crit strike is another good thing to focus on. The better crit strike you have from this ratio that we're going to talk about is the better chance that you'll actually crit. The thing that's kind of more recent that I've discovered is that your weapon damage on your weapon actually makes a difference on your heals. So trying to find more current weapons would be a great thing to strive for. Outgoing healing is a great another thing to be focusing on, while crit severity is another thing to be focusing on for your healer to be a better healer. Now, as a paladin healer, you're not going to be like a cleric. You're not going to be sitting in the back. You're going to be in the front line since you are a paladin. So your defense and your deflect have to be kind of up. Mainly that defense. That defense has to be getting close to max. With already the gear that you have for your tank, this shouldn't be a problem. So something to kind of focus on is that your power has to be 80% higher than your crit strike, or vice versa. Your crit strike or your power has to be 25% less than your crit strike. So if you have this ratio down, it's saying 50% of the time when you're hitting a creature, you're going to crit. So this is something that you really should strive for, and you really should try to get this balance, because the more times you crit, the better heal that you're going to receive, which we're going to be talking about in the next slide. So what I mean by that is that in the bottom left you see just a regular heal right there. Now, if I'm spamming my heal and I pretty much get a crit heal, I can maybe crit heal myself, that you see the blue bar going up to my name halfway, but then you see my teammate only gets a little heal. If I just keep spamming that, it's just going to kind of crit for some people. But if I'm sitting and hitting a creature, as you see in the bottom right corner, you see a dotted little line around the heal. That means that's going to give everybody a crit heal. So that crit ratio to power ratio right there is something huge to strive for, because the more times that you can do that, the better chances of your team surviving, and just you not stressing about hills, because by the time you get it, if you do 50%, that blue bar is just going to be down and your team's health hasn't even been touched, because that's just a shield. So it's just something to really look and try to get. An ability, just to show you, is a Circle of Divinity. This is just the animation behind it. This will really help your outgoing healing and make your heal stronger. I just felt like this is something good to show right here. 3 attributes that you really should be focusing on. You really want to focus on 2, but it's just depending on what you need. I personally would be more focusing on the wisdom and the dexterity. Reasons why: wisdom is something huge that should be your number 1 point. If you're going to be spending anything else, it might be the dexterity, but the wisdom gives you outgoing healing. And outgoing healing is such a huge thing. It makes your heals so much better. That is such an easy one to spend it in. The next will be dexterity. It makes your crit severity a lot higher, and pretty much that's kind of self-explanatory. It just means your crits will be just more severe. So it includes your healing as well. So that's something, the two that I personally strive for. Constitution is maybe something that you may want to strive for. It increases your hit points like you see, but then the action points, the AP, is something that's kind of the other goal that you want to be as a healer, that you want to get your daily so you can do lay of hands more. But that's kind of like a cop-out. If I can increase my healing, and the chances that I actually have to use my lay of hands will actually go away because my healing's better. So it's kind of depending on what you need. I personally keep leaning towards the wisdom and the dexterity. So these are the abilities that I use. I definitely think that this is definitely the setup that's good, that's just purely focused on healing. Again, I'm not talking about like a healer's DPS build or nothing like that. I am just purely focusing on if you're running LOM or potentially this new Tower of the Mad Mage. I believe that this would be probably the build that you will be running in there, because in these two dungeons, it's kind of your role, you know. Like, I know in previous mods we can try to run and be like, oh, let's just be a tank, but at the same time, let me just be the top DPSer. That's great if you can do it, but most people now in mod 17, even mod 16, you have to focus on your build. So this really focuses on that build. So pretty much on your left click, you have Valorous Strike. That really helps you get your crit strikes right there, because it gives you 3 hits. Radiant Slam is potentially just to help you keep up with the group, and you can just charge forward. I play with a lot of Barbarians and Scourge Warlocks that just like to run ahead of me, so I just try to keep up. My QER is Divine Touch, so I can just be quick with the heal with being close to there. The Circle of Divinity and Sacred Weapons, like I said, Circle of Divinity, it raises up your outgoing healing, and it restores your divinity. While Radiant Slam, once you do the feats that I show you, it increases your divinity regeneration. So with these two, it really helps your divinity when you're low shoot up really quick. And then you don't have to run both of these, but these are your options for your dailies and your number 2 slot. You will be using Lay of Hands mainly in like the very first boss of LOM when everyone's cocooned. Like we'll say the tank, it's really hard for the Paladin to raise the tank up right there. So unless the tank has really low hit points, but I'm running with people that have like 600k HP. So I need a quick heal that I just have reserved for them, while the rest of my heals, whenever it's like a Scourge Warlock or a Wizard, I can easily heal them with my crit hits right there, with my crit heals. So I don't really stress about that, but I try to make sure I at least just save my daily, because that's what I'm here for. And then after that, I just changed it to Shield of Faith on my number 2, just because that's going to increase their healing that they get, and it reduces the damage that they get. So later on, there's just going to be a lot of creatures that hit them super hard. So that's just another good thing to have right there. You are definitely a supportive class when you get into the healer spec. So these are going to be the class feats that I chose. I really will say most of these class features, it's kind of personally your choice. I definitely highly recommend you do Timely Intervention. It takes that shield whenever someone's 25% or less, and it increases to the actual hit points. So this is really big when someone's cocooned and you just got your crit barrier that came up right there, the little dotted line come up. That is huge when you get that, because instead of like going to the shield, it'll go all the way to health. So that's like a huge head start, and it'll make your you're healing them to get back up from the cocoon super easy. So that's a really big one right there, and it just helps them whenever they get low in life. So it's kind of a win. I use Aura Restoration mainly just because I'm here to heal, so I'm going to definitely increase the healing that my members get. So I definitely have it easy with the feats. I just say up, up, down, up, up. I feel like I'm doing an old like Grand Theft Auto like cheat right there or something, but it's just up, up, down, up, up. So the very first one is going to be Critical Touch, Prayer of Opportunity, Enduring Spirit, Divine Intervention, a mystery, and then a Warding. Critical Touch, pretty much you can just read these right here. It pretty much tells you. The most important one that I think that is just really good is the last two. It gives your Lay of Hands a Divine Barrier, and then the Warding, it gives you a Divine Barrier. It doubles the barrier. So again, to me, that is just huge. If my people don't take hits from their actual HP and it's just taking my shield, I'm doing my job. So these are going to be the boons that you spend. You're going to get to a point when you actually get here and you actually have like 60 some crap and boons that you can spend. You want to spend potentially. There's 3 tier 5s that I did not include the other one. But again, it's just kind of like your attributes for the tier 5 one. Is you want to create an outgoing healing, you may want to do an action points, and there's another one for crit severity. Any one of those 3 right there would be good, because that will just help you long term. Pretty much after that, your rest of your boons, I would totally just choose from 4 to rank 1 to rank 4. I would just do power and hit points as your base, and once you get those, then it's up to you. Like, you may need more defense, do defense. If you need more crit strike, do crit strike. It's just kind of there what you need, companion influence, whatever you want it to be at that point. The master boon, I definitely chose Bless Advantage. It implies a heal over time. Again, there's a lot of things, right? It increases my power. It just was overall just one of the best things for a healer that I personally thought. Again, you all can choose whatever you want. So what I chose as my companion, and I definitely have found out that this is definitely the best slotted companion for a healer, is the Polar Bear Cub. The Polar Bear Cub is just awesome. I've been rocking him since once Mod 16 just happened. Like, he has just been amazing. So when you definitely look at your companion stats, in the top right corner, you see this little box that says augmentation and enhancement. Those are something that you want to look for when you look at your companions, because it'll say there right in the stats at the very bottom that if he's an augmentation or if he's enhancement, that he gives you more additional bonus. So this one's huge because it gives you the 2 big ones that you need. You need crit strike and you need power. So this is just huge to get. Now, pretty much with the new Mod 17, the companion gear that came out is huge. I will say, if you're starting off as a healer, I would go to the auction house right now, and on like the bottom left side right there, you just see that I'm running some blue companion gear. I bought that for like 3,000 Astral Diamonds. I mean, they have ridiculously high crit strike on it. It's going to make that crit strike even higher. So with already the gear that you're running, from if you're doing LOMs and everything, which we'll talk about in a bit, this is an easy way. If you feel like your crit is struggling, this is an easy way to get that up. In the actual offensive slots and everything in the gear, I would just run power, just because you always need more power. And when defense comes, I just do defense just because it'll actually give it to you. The bonding runestones is one of the biggest things to upgrade. It's just trying to kind of give a shout out to if anybody's just starting. I just upgraded mine to level 15. It took me a while to do, but it is the biggest help, and you'll see why in the next slide. So another thing that you have to be working on is reaching your bolster. You should be trying to do this in your tank build regardless right now, but just in case you need to find out, the Polar Bear Cub is under the Beast category, so you want to be trying to get your 5 top companions into Legendary, because that will increase your bolster. Oh my god, a little pterodactyl somewhere flying. That's just my baby. So pretty much the once you get them to legendary, they increase your bolster. The bolster will help you increase your stats even more. So you definitely want to try to get a high number. So this is something you want to try to strive for and later on. Is because on the left over there you see that that is my stats without my companion. But then if you see the stats on the right, that is with my companion. You know, I mean, it is just crazy how you just stack your little polar bear and how much stats increase right there and how much it decreases if you don't have them. So getting him to legendary, getting him good gear, the bonding runestones, it makes the biggest difference. And I just love He-Man, you know, you gotta be like, I have the power! So, pretty much, the companion that I actually run with the actively run over here on the bottom right side of your companion screen is mainly outgoing healing. I mean, most of mine is focused on that just because I want to get it up. And this is where you increase your outgoing healing. So pretty much I chose in my defensive slots, I did the Polar Bear Cubs, I already have them, the Ion Stone, the Ion Stone of Radiance, the Quickling, and then I have in the other defensive slot over there that you see in the bottom left corner is the Minstrel. He just gives you more power. Again, that's kind of up to you what you need. Again, I always strive for more power. That's what I want. I mean, that's just something huge to make your heals better. So you always want to focus on that. If you don't have these companions, I wouldn't really worry about it. This is something that you just keep growing as a healer. I would, however, just put any kind of companion that has power in here then at that point. So in the offensive slot, I have the Rebel Mercenary, but you know, at this point, I was rocking almost 150 power. I need more outgoing healing, so I can easily sacrifice, you know, a little bit of power. So as you see in the bottom left corner, two good substitutes to get power is through the Baby Deep Crow or the Raptor. But right then, I was just actually rocking a lot of good power, but I just need to get as much as I can without outgoing healing because it's that big. So right now, I'm just trying to upgrade them and just keep getting stronger. So I definitely say this is something that money-wise will cost the most. You know, to upgrade a single companion to legendary costs $1 million. So I mean, and that's just to get from epic to legendary. I'm not even talking about how you got to spend the 250k or anything like that. So pretty much these are the mount abilities that I chose in the Insignia bonus. Inside the actual Insignia slot, you really want to be trying to strive for dominance, and at that point just try to fill in the rest. But so if you have, you know, Insignias that are dominance that actually key up to what you need, definitely use them first. But I understand if you have to fill in what you actually have to actually, you know, get the ability. But mainly for the actual Insignia bonus, I just pretty much use my tank's abilities, just because when I do a llama as a tank, I'm most of the time healing my own self for about 4 million or so. So it's pretty smart move right there, just because as long as I can stay alive, I'm in the middle of the chaos right there. So I'm getting hit, I'm getting stunned when I'm not shielding, you know. So again, all of these little things like Barbarian's Revelry, I'm going to crit strike, I'm doing crit strike all the crap in time and get a heal for myself. Oppressor's Reprieve, you know, again, if I get stunned, knocked back or anything, I get a heal over time. Gladiator's Guile, like I mentioned earlier, I play with a lot of fast-paced people, so I gotta keep up with them. So my stamina's high, I'm keeping up with them, and then it regenerates my stamina when it's low. Survivor's Blessing, when I deflect, which, as I said, that's why you want your deflect high, and you receive a heal over time. And then when you get hit, you receive a big hit, you receive a heal over time, the Champion's Return. So again, these are just things that definitely help out overall. So gear-wise, majority of it is running through LOM. That's the reason why I kind of like these last two mods, because to me it's like a catch-up for the rest of the people that just started. So pretty much when you start be able to run your own LOM groups, you really want to try to be starting to get the gear that comes off of it, and then actually getting the weapons and the actual gear that the vendor sells. So Burnish is definitely one of the highest ones to me of what to get, and then like the protege gear just gives you great power. It gives you, again, just like 250 power per person that's in your group. The Crown of the Lost King, if there's one person, you gain 2,000 power. So there's these little things right here that help out tremendous to increase your power, because most of this new gear is very high amounts of power in there. So you have that, and most of these gears like have really good chance of getting crit strike. Again, I just wanted my deflection up, so I try to find stuff that has crit strike and deflection on it. But yeah, most of this can be bought in the using the currency from LOM that you get to the vendor, and actually doing LOM. Other than Crown of the Lost King and Root Stoppers, that's what you get from Zoc from doing MEs. But mainly just keep running the new campaign stuff in mod 16, mod 17, and you'll be getting this right here. So the Burnish set is really highly sought, because if you are hit or healed for more than 15% of your own max hit points, your power and defense will increase by 5% for 10 seconds. So that is kind of huge. When you're the healer and you're easily healing people or 15% of their life, you're getting even more power and defense every single time. So my power just keeps, I mean, it's always going to increase. There's no cooldown. So once it's done, by the next time I got that power increase again. An alt weapon to have would be from the MEs that you do from the Alabaster set. It's a good backup to have. You know, increases your power and crit strike. It has some solid stats on it. So again, either one of these, you're going to be a great healer. I just like the Burnish just because of the ability on it. But otherwise, as you can tell, the stats on it are identical. So it's not like, it's just kind of like your preference at that point, or what you can get. So on the shield, in the middle of the screen right there, this is the actual shield abilities that you'll be having. So on the, you may have to re-roll it a couple times with the cube or your astral diamonds, but you want to get that critical severity, because that gives you 10% to crit severity, and that's just really huge right there. That's going to be a great little boost when all it is just a quick little switch around. And then at that point, I always try for more power, so I just did my shield to get power. So I just re-rolled, I got power, and then just try to get the best roll. So I got me a 2,000 power roll. I'm going to stop right there. So again, these weapons right here with this setup on your shield should help you out tremendously with your heals. So your actual artifacts that you'll be running, mainly the main artifact set that you'll be running for a healer is the Staff of Flowers. On the Blooming Cord, I believe, has 2 to Wisdom, so that's going to be huge for your outgoing healing right there. So that's something kind of to be seeking out right there. You can get the Blooming Cord and the Staff of Flowers set from actually doing the MEs and turning in when you place down a ruin, when you get to talk to Zoc to downstairs underneath the stairwell and Yawning Portal. So it's kind of important to keep doing that until you get this, because this will be the most expensive part of your whole armor set right here. It's going to cost about $1 million or so to get the Staff of Flowers. So trying to actually get it yourself, again, the chances of getting it are pretty low, but if you keep running it, you may get it someday at that point. Or you just try to save enough astral diamonds to get it. But I got lucky. I got the Staff of Flowers. I mean, I see it all the time, so it's not like it's impossible, but it's just a lot of grinding just to get the Staff of Flowers. A good backup to me is the Sigil of the Paladin. To me, it's just an awesome little artifact to have. It gives you a little temporary healing zone, and it gives increases damage resistance. So to me, it's just a great little artifact to have as a replacement. So that should be one of your secondary artifacts. Is the Sigil of the Paladin, because it gives you high power, it gives you hit points, while Thirst is another one of the old sets right there that has high power, good hit points. And then the newer set is Trobriand's Ring. Trobriand's Ring is just like Staff of Flowers. It gives you 3,000 power, and it just gives you good crapping stats right there. So I get 1,000, maybe 1,500 to defense when it's mythic, and crit avoidance. So to me, this is such an easy thing to run right here. Trobriand's Ring is probably going to be one of the easiest ones to get, because it's probably running around like 40k right now, I think. So Astral Diamonds. So unless you get it from Alam, because you can technically get it from Alam, but I mean, I get it all the time. But I do believe this is probably one of the best things just to buy is Trobriand's Ring, because that's 3,000 power. That's pretty easy to get. So these are just great artifacts to run. Again, it doesn't have to be Thirst. There's other old artifacts out there that give you 99, almost 1,000 power. They're very easy to get, so I don't be sitting here like I must have Thirst. Like that's totally cool. You can totally change that if you don't want the Sigil of the Paladin. Again, there's old artifacts out there, but again, to me, these are just something I personally like to run with these two. And the Sigil of Paladin is just a great main artifact if you don't have the Staff of Flowers. So on this last slide right here, I definitely want to say these two are huge if, we'll say, you're just trying to be a healer and you need to really work on your heals, but you're just trying to get those action points up so you can keep the group alive because you're just kind of relying on lay of hands. The Sigil of the Cleric is something that will help you out tremendously because it gives you 25% of your action points over 15 seconds. So that's kind of big right there when you're definitely trying to get it through LOM, because when you do those cocoons and you're constantly moving at a fast pace, this will actually help you a lot getting your action points maybe by the time those cocoons are done, or the mimic stage is done and you guys start cocooning, and you have to have your lay of hands ready. And then also another great one to be using is during one of the, I believe it's the siege event, is the Alliance Battle Horn. It brings back 33% of your action points. So I run both of these, and if I have to, like if I know I'm running with some pretty OP people, and when I first started out, I don't do the Sigil of Cleric anymore, but I do keep the Alliance Battle Horn. But it's just a great thing to have when you're starting out as the healer, to have both of them so you can get those action points, get back, and you can just be ready to heal somebody when they're cocooned. So I really do hope that you enjoyed watching this, and I do hope that you learn quite a bit of what the healer Paladin can do. If you have any questions, please message me. I'm Nick the Paladin on Neverwinter. I play the PC. If you want to follow me on Twitch, I'm Nick the OP Paladin. So you can probably search Nick the OP Paladin, OP. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you guys.